Greetings, people of the internet. Today is a tutorial on how to draw human arms. I was asked by a friend to do this a long time ago, and I never did it because for some reason, I just got so nervous in doing it. Regardless, here it is finally. Anyway, in my attempt to make sure that my program and everything would be able to handle this, I sketched this arm out, so I kind of like how it turned out. So you know what? I'm just going to leave it sitting here. Maybe I'll use it for something. So I've gone ahead and pre-drawn this lovely woman here. And the idea is that this is the neck, obviously. This is the collarbone. And the collarbone goes up slightly, just a little bit at an angle, and it comes to the top of the shoulder. And by the way, this is a bit of a disclaimer. This is how I've learned how to draw arms. Like, I have a very somewhat limited knowledge of arms, so what I do know is mostly from people watching. So right about here where I've drawn this circle, this is where the shoulder will. This is the shoulder, right here. This thing right here. This is the shoulder. Okay, so the arm tends to come out like this, like there's a bit of a slope. The arms, like the rest of the parts of the body, have muscles and bones and everything else in them. So this is bad. Straight lines are bad with arms. You see in this sketch, there aren't really any straight lines. There's like this, but then it starts curving. There's this, but it curves. There's not many straight lines in an arm. Draw it that way if you want, but if you want it to look somewhat realistic, then I suggest you don't. So for here, this right here, this little indent right there, you notice that it's about level with her waist, and the human body has two waists as far as I'm concerned. Belly button's right here. There's this right at the bottom of the rib cage, really. This is the rib cage right there. And there's the one right about here, just under the belly button. This is the waist I'm talking about. It's right under the rib cage. This is where your pants go. this is the waistline for pants nowadays. You know, like where the elastic or whatever sits, where your belt sits. There, this is that waistline. This is the one I'm talking about right now, though, right here. So, yeah, you want the elbow, this part, to match roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be close. Otherwise, your character's going to look like it's got weirdly long or short arms. This is where the elbow will meet. So it's at the other side there. And then draw in the other half of the arm. And you notice that the wrist, where the arm meets the hand, this is coming to right about the groin line on this lady. And that's another indication of how you can figure out how long your arm needs to be. Erase this a little bit, make it a little easier to understand. So yeah, there's that. What else did I want to discuss? Alright, so like I've done here, I've gone and indicated just slightly that there's an elbow here. This little line there shouldn't be quite that angular. Should be a little bit more of a line like that. This is the elbow bone, and I know very little about actual anatomy in terms of bones and muscles, so I'm just going to call this the elbow bone. Now, when your arm is outstretched, like this, there won't be much, if any, bone showing. If anything, you'll get a very slight curve like this. So it'll just look like a whatever shape that is. But if your arm is bent like this, the elbow, I can words, I promise. The elbow, oh, maybe I can't. The elbow comes more at a sharper angle, so because the bone is pointing out further and it's stretching the skin. Now, when an arm is just going straight down, then there's typically folds of skin, but I never draw those folds of skin, so I can't really show you how to draw that. Just look at somebody's arm if you really need to. But it could be these folds of skin exist because there needs to be some allowance with the skin to allow that bone to poke out when the arm is bent. So that's a little detail for you. I'm gonna switch come on. Ugh. Switch eraser modes so I can quickly erase this. Okay. And speaking of, to draw an arm that is bent, it'll look a little bit different because of the shape the skin and muscles take. So this is the shoulder. There's a little bit of a curve right here, right where the shoulder part meets the first part of the arm. There's a little bit of a slope here that kind of tucks in a little bit. How I draw elbows in this pose is that I go a little bit further than the actual arm would be, and then I do a little indent, a little curve here. And then I finish out the arm. Keep in mind, when an arm is bent and folded like this, there will be a gathering of skin, and I believe this is muscle. I think that's a muscle. So look at me trying to attempt drawing muscles here. There's a bit of a bulge here, is what I'm trying to say, on the inner side of the curve. So the front of the body is over here. Yeah, right here. Anyway, and then there's the wrist and the hand, because, yeah. Anyway, so keep in mind about this bulge here and the little bit of elbow poking out there. Now, I guess the easiest way to think of the shapes is circle, upside down teardrop, and then another teardrop that's sideways. If you need if you need help to remember the basic shape, then I hope this helps you. I bet this bulge would be a little bit bigger. Yeah, good enough. But also don't forget the little elbow there. And honey, da, da, da. Also keep in mind when the arm, much more detail than I need. When the arm is moving, it tends to rotate. What am I saying? When the hand moves, it tends to make the arm rotate with it. So this is what happens typically, is that the bulge side will be approximately, it'll stay pretty much with the palm of the hand, more or less. So like the bottom of the flatter side of this part of the arm will typically match the back of the hand. And I hope this makes sense. It's been a while since I've done this. Another thing is that on the inner wrist, there's a bit of an indent with the skin. There's typically a little indent in the skin on the inside of the wrist. And I like adding that whenever I draw that. Another thing is this. When this part of the arm comes along with this part, there is then this crease. It's like these are puzzle pieces. So this part fits into this one, and there's a crease that happens there. Also, if you've never noticed, when an arm is seen in a certain way, like if you hold out your arm straight, back of your hand up, palm down, and then turn it just slightly to the left, there's a bit of an hourglass shape going on in terms of like this. Like this is what I'm talking about, this little hourglass shape there. So this is the inner elbow there, this is the outer elbow. So this is where your elbow part would be, but since it's outstretched so far, it wouldn't actually be very visible. If anything, there would be those folds of skin there. I will eventually do a how to draw hands tutorial. Speaking of, I noticed on my hands that there is occasionally a very subtle little boop right there, a little bump. It's very small. It's very subtle. It's just a little thing. Just trying to be sneaky. That's all. Anyway, what else? Oh, there's probably one more thing I should mention, which is probably good because I'm running out of canvas. Yep, indeed I am. Okay, so this is the head. This is the neck. And you'll have your shoulders. Now the shoulders, at least in how I draw them, there will be a bit of a bump, a bit of corner there between the slope of the neck, whether man or a woman. Men tend to have more pronounced triangle shapes between their neck and their clavicle, which is the collarbone, and women tend to have slightly more soft slopes. Yeah, so we're getting more into the torso here, but it's related. It's all related. And starting with the shoulder here, there'll be a bit. If you've got a really healthy character that's just completely buff, like super freaking muscular, or just super freaking skinny, they will have a little bit of a bump right there, and then it will become the line for their clavicle, which is the collarbone. And this has been being drawn poorly. Anyway, and I just typically indicate the clavicle by doing these simple lines. So I believe this is called the pectoral muscles, but the chest muscles essentially. When you get to the top of them, like right in the armpit, there's a bit of a curve that goes out like this. It goes and points this way and this way. Anyway, I'm talking about this. And then when you get to this part of it, it's a bit like this. There's a bit of a line there, kind of. Bit of a crease, maybe. So there's a bit of a line there. You can also see it in these other sketches, like right here, and here, and a bit there. There. It's just a thing. It exists, I promise. And then you go in and start sketching out that gorgeous arm that I'm failing at. Don't forget this little thing right here. Dude. Yeah, so there's my very poorly sketched muscular person. Probably a dude because of the slope there. And this is short. And that is not lasso. Wondering why that looks so weird. Oh, that's not helping. That is not helping. Okay, so that's closer. Maybe not quite that thick, but oh, wrong tool. Make it a little thinner so it'll match the other part of the arm. Look at me taking out time to sketch out the hand. Okay, so yeah, this part, when this arm is against the body, it should match the waist, the high waist, the higher part. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Okay then. So one more thing, I hope. Drawing in perspective, because that's everybody's favorite thing, right? Alright, so I don't draw arms in perspective very often, but generally a trick that I like to use is to use circles, because when arms are being foreshortened, but they are very circular, pretty much. So generally look kind of like this. So the circle here will be this is where the hand connects. So it'd be like, you know, you're like, oh hey, a hand. So just keep in mind this part, the chunky part of the arm. Elbow, this, wrist. And there's the shoulder. I hope that helped somebody. Bit too much. I tried. Anyway, I hope this helped somebody. I hope someone learned something, and there will probably be a part 2, either me fixing my clueless mistakes or me just adding on to what I added. I'll probably end up redoing this at some time, possibly. Thanks for watching, and bye.